Denny, you look great.
I feel good, considering what I went through.
Alrighty, everybody. So the more energy we send to Avery, the more we help lift him up, the more he sends it back to us. So we'll sing together in some Hine Maton. Hine Maton Humanayim, Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad. Page 4. Hine Maton Humanayim, Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Maton, Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Maton, Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Maton Humanayim, 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 Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Maton, Hine Maton. Ya la 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 la. Hine Maton, Hine Maton. Ya la 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 la. Hine Maton Humanayim, Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Maton Humanayim, Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
To our folks who are in the sanctuary, Shabbat Shalom. Let's hear it. Shabbat Shalom. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom.
For those who are joining us from wherever you are online, Shabbat Shalom. Let's hear it.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Oh,
Shalom.
that's great.
It's a little strange to be talking to your TV screen, but we want you doing it. We want you talking. We want you singing, clapping, snapping. Participate in every and any way that you can. For those who are joining on Facebook Live, the service has been pinned to the screen, so you can just click on that. For those who are in the sanctuary, we are using our red sea door, okay? And of course, it opens right to left. And inside, you will see that on the far right side, you've got the Hebrew. And on the far left side, you've got the English. And in the middle, you have the transliteration. The transliteration. So we want this to be as easy for everybody as possible. Not only is this an afternoon, evening service as we're getting ready to end Shabbat with Havdalah, but of course this is a bar mitzvah ceremony as well. And Avery Slipikoff is here with mom and dad and brother. Here we've got cousins and grandparents, and we are so glad to be here. Just for those who are tuning in, the physical setup is this, that we've got the family, bar mitzvah family on the bima, not masked because they're all part of one pod. Cantor and I are about 40 feet away, and we are masked. And then about 30 feet away, on the other side of the sanctuary, we've got the rest of the family, and they are each separated by their pods and masked as well. So we are modeling, and we are also keeping everybody as safe as possible. We hope that you do the same as well. So friends, Cantor Lorna Desnick, Rabbi Spike Anderson, take a moment or two or three and please type your name into the Facebook feed, shout out Shabbat Shalom, let us know who you are and where you're coming from. A mazel tov to Avery and family, and we will come back together with a Hine Matov. It is so good to be here together.
Hine matov u'manayim, Shabbat achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, Shabbat achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov. Let's hear it. Yananai, nananai, nananai, nanai. Hine matov, hine matov. Yananai, nananai, nananai, nanai. Hine matov u'manayim, Shabbat achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, Shabbat achim gam yachad.
So Avery, you remember when we talked about how the bar mitzvah is a rite of passage? Remember this conversation, the rite of passage, by which a Jewish boy in the course of the next 90 minutes becomes a young Jewish man in the eyes of our community. And along the way, there are signposts that help us recognize that we're in the midst of a particular type of time. In a moment, your parents, David and Carolyn, are going to present you with your tallis. Your tallis or talit is a sign of being a Jewish adult, in that this morning, yesterday, last month, last year, you weren't allowed to publicly wear this. It's for Jewish adults only. And by presenting this to you, they began to welcome you into the adult Jewish community with all the rights and privileges and responsibilities that come with that. So David and Carolyn, will you lead us in the presentation, which you'll find on page 5.
As this talit is draped around your shoulders, may the voices of the generations speak to you. May you know that there is a people, a rich heritage to which you belong, a sacred place from which you are connected to all who dwell on earth. As you embraced in the folds of this talit, so too are you wrapped in the loving embrace of your family, community, and this holy congregation. May this simplest of garments always be for you a symbol of God's abiding, sheltering presence. As you recite the blessing and wrap yourself in this talit, we proudly watch and celebrate with you as you accept your place in the chain of our tradition.
Okay, now Avery, you're going to recite the blessing over the tallis.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kadishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit.
We say amen.
Amen.
Okay, and the mom and dad, you'll drape it over his shoulders. Okay. Now, this is a touchy-feely service. Anytime it seems remotely appropriate to give them a hug and a kiss, you should do it, okay? Yes. Now, if you'll keep a hand on Avery for a moment, we're going to recite the Shehechianu prayer. And we Jews know that families and communities come together for all sorts of occasions. Some sad. Avery, this one, super happy. Under my mask, big smile, super happy. When we know we're experiencing a certain type of time, we say Shehechianu, literally thanking God for this time that we're here, that we're breathing, that we're together, asking for this type of time again and again and again. Please join us, page 5 for Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. Amen.
Beautiful. Avery, will you lead us on page 6?
God be with me on this occasion of my bar mitzvah. Help me make meaningful the covenant you now establish with me. Sustain me with a sense of holiness, inspire in me a desire to be special. I do not ask that you make my life easy, resolve my problems, map out the directions of my life. I ask only that you strengthen within me the desire to mold and shape my life in accordance with your will. In this hour of my bar mitzvah, I invoke your blessings upon my parents and friends and all who have loved and cared for me and have brought me to this time of gladness. Give them joy and fulfillment in my growth and my achievement, you who turn the hearts of children to their parents and the hearts of parents to their children.
Okay, good job. So, Avery, in a moment, you're going to lead us on page 10 for Ashrei, Psalm 145. Ashrei is a psalm, a prayer about gratitude. And one of the ways of recognizing sort of where we are and getting the most out of each day, week, month, existence, interaction is to have an acute sense of gratitude. Will you lead us, please, on page 10?
Ashrei yoshvei v'techa, od yehalucha selah.
Ashrei ha'am shekachalo, Ashrei ha'am she'Adonai Elohav.
Tehillah leDavid, aromim ha'Elohai ha'melech, ve'avarcha shimcha le'olam va'ed.
B'chol yom avarchecha, va'ahalel shimcha le'olam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai holo meod, ve'li gdulato ein cheker.
Dor ledor yeshabach ma'asecha, u'gvurotecha yagidu.
Hadar kevod hodecha, ve'divrei niflotecha asicha.
Ve'ezuz norotecha yomeru, u'gdulatecha saprena.
Zehirav tucha yabiu, v'tzidkatecha yeranenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim u'gdochased.
Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha.
Kevod malchutcha yomeru, u'gvuratecha yedaberu.
Lehodia livnei ha'adam gevurotav, u'chvod hadar malchuto.
Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, u'meim sheltecha b'chol dor vador.
Somech Adonai lechol hanoflim, v'zokef lechol hakefufim.
Eine kol elecha yesaberu, ve'ata noten lahem et ochlam beito.
Poteach et yadecha, u'maspia lechol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav, v'chasi b'kol ma'asav.
Turning the page. Let's get Karov Adonai lechol kor'av, lechol asher yikra'uhu be'emet.
Ratzon yire'av ya'aseh, be'et shavatam yishma ve'yoshim.
Shomer Adonai et kol ohavav, ve'et kol harshaim yashmin.
Tehilat Adonai yedaber pi, v'verach kol basar, shem kadosho le'elam va'ed. Ve'anachnu nevarech ya,
Me'ata v'ad olam.
Hallelujah.
Avery, on page 13, you're going to lead us responsively, which means that anytime we see italics, we're all going to join in when you're ready.
May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for fellowship.
Make it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit indifference, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be all for enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We rise for Bar Hu, which you will find on page 15.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamivorach. Baruch Adonai Hamivorach. Hamivorach leolam vaed. Hamivorach. Hamivorach leolam vaed.
Avery, in a moment, you're going to lead us in our Ma'ariv Aravim prayer, which can be found on the front inside cover of your prayer book. For those who don't have that, page 15. Avery, Ma'ariv Aravim is signifying the beginning of the Jewish day, which of course starts at night because we have to make things complicated. And the idea behind this is that each day, each evening, that we have a chance of beginning anew. Each tomorrow is a new chance to recreate yourself, your family, your relationships, and the world around you. That you are not, according to your Judaism, you are not locked in to what happened yesterday, the day before, or yesterday's yesterday. You have some control, if not of your surroundings, at least your reactions to them. Friends, Ma'ariv Aravim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach sherim uvitvuna meshane itim umachalif et hazmanim umseder et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Orei yom v'layla golea or mipnei choshe v'choshe mipnei or Uma'avir yom uvein laila, uma'avdil bein yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Amen. Our next prayer, Avery, you'll lead us in, is Ahava Rabbah on page 16, literally translating as God's abundant love for us. So Avery, if you think about all the people in your life who love you and care about you, it'd probably be a pretty long list. All right, starting with the folks, of course, who are standing shoulder to shoulder with you right up there on the bema, mom, dad, and brother. Very quickly going to the folks who are right here in front of you in our sanctuary. And then from there, you have circles of people, some of whom are on Zoom right now for you, some of whom are on Facebook for you. Some can't be here for whatever reason, but you are loved. You are loved and you are held and you are supported. And on that list is God. We believe that God knows your name and cares about you and loves you very, very much. And so as you're thinking about all of the folks who love and care about you, somewhere, be mindful, keep in mind that you have the divine who has your back and best interests and is walking with you all the time. Ahava Rabbah, page 16.
Ahava Rabbah, Avtanu Adonai Eloheinu, Chemla Gadola Vitera, Chamota Aleinu, Ba'avur Avotenu Ve'imotenu, Shabbachu Becha, Vatlamdein, Chukei Chaim, Ken Tachanenu, Utlamdenu, Cham Rachem Aleinu, V'ten Belibenu, Lehavin Ul Haskil, Lishmoa Liomod Ulamed, Lishmor Vela'asot Ulkayem et Kol Divrei Talmud Toratecha Ba'ahava. Baruch Atah Adonai Habocher Ba'amo Yisrael Ba'ahava.
Okay, we find our feet on the ground, getting ready for our Shema. You, Avery, have said the Shema so many times in your life. Likely it was the first prayer that you learned. Likely is the last prayer that you'll ever say at the end of your days. And in between, we have weaves coming back to the Shema, our central declaration. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God. Adonai is one. Hands over our eyes as we get ready for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto.
Please be seated as we get ready for our Via Hafta, which is on page 18. The Via Hafta, of course, is part of the Shema, and it's a prayer that poses a certain set of questions. When is it that we are supposed to make the most of our Jewish selves? When is it that we're supposed to have the divine as our orientation? When is it that we're supposed to do the right thing? And the answers that are given in the Via Hafta, Avery, are, well, when you're lying down, and when you're standing up, when you're on the way. In other words, always. Now, always seems like a good answer until you think about it, Avery, right? How do you do something mindfully always, right? So do something with me now. And everybody can join in. We're going to take a nice deep breath together, like deep. Ready? Here we go. And out. One more time. And out. So Avery, you just did something that you literally have been doing since the second you were born. But most of the time, we don't even think about it. What the Via Hafta does is it helps us to be mindful of the things that we can do, the reminders that we have to be our best Jewish selves, to have the divine as our orientation, and to do the right thing. Page 18, Via Hafta.
Ve'havta Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadevarim ha'ele Asher Anochi Metzavecha Hayom Al Levavecha Veshinatam Levanecha Vedibarta Ba'am Beshivtecha Bevitecha Uvlechtecha Vaderech Ushachbecha Uvkumecha Ukshartam Leot Al Yadecha Behayu Letotafot Beinenecha Uchtavtam Al Mezuzot Beitecha Uvisharecha Laman Tiskeru Vasitem Ekomitvotai Vitem Kedoshim Alechem Ani Adonai Alechem Asher Otziti Atechem Meretz Mitzrayim Lehayot Lachem Leelohim Ani Adonai Alechem.
Ben, would you give your brother a little break and lead us on page 19 responsively? So we'll all read the italicized portion and you do the lead reading for us. If you can, David, just adjust the microphone.
Mom's going to hold up the hand.
Oh, okay, even better.
Adonai, God, you took us out of slavery in Egypt. You made us free.
You are in the courage with which we overcame 40 years of desert wandering.
Even today, you are in the hope that, like a beam of light, brightens the darkness of suffering and despair.
You are in the love that creates, protects, forgives.
Standing at the sea, we felt your goodness and your love, and we sing a new song to you. And still today, we sing that song.
We praise you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. Micha Mocha, page 20.
Get ready to clap your hands. Ya la 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 la, we have to clap. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la, we sing that one more time. Ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Mikamo Chava Elim Adonai, Mikamo Chane Ezra Kodesh, Norati Hilut Osei Fele, Norati Hilut Osei Fele. Yai Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Ya Lai 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 Lai, Ya Lai 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 Lai, Ya Lai Lai Lai, Ya Lai 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 Lai. Adonai Imo Le'olam Adonai Imo Le'olam Bye. Last time, Yanai 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 Sur Yisrael,
Please rise.
Kuma Bezrat Yisrael,
Please rise.
Ufidefinu Umecha, Yehuda Yisrael. Go Aleinu Adonai Tzevot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
We join in singing what the Israelites proclaimed after they had successfully crossed the sea. And we find in their redemption the strength to seek our own. The struggle carries us into the Amidah, a prayer of becoming, of transformation, of divine human partnership that brings grace into our lives and into our world. We all are standing, as we say, our standing central prayer, the Amidah.
Adonai tefatai tivta ufi agite hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekoneh HaKol, Vezocher Hastei Avot Vehimaot, Umevi Gula Livnei Benehem, Laman Shemo Be'ava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav L'Osia, Meshiv HaRuach Umari HaGashem, Mechoker Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Geburot Umidom Elav Melech Lamit Umechaye Umatzmiach Yerusa V'ne'emar Atav L'chayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye HaKol.
I'd like to invite up Ethan and Ali Slipikoff to lead us in our reading on page 23, our responsive reading.
Let me see. I want to see Ethan and Allie.
Many are the ways of holiness, varied are its paths.
There is holiness when we strive to be the true to the best we know.
There is holiness when we are kind to others.
There is holiness when we strive for harmony in all of our relationships.
There's holiness when people of different backgrounds work together for a common future.
There is holiness when people seek justice and struggle for righteousness.
There is holiness when people create lasting poetry or song or philosophy.
There is holiness when we forget what divides us and remember what unites us.
Holy, holy, holy is Adonai our God.
Kedusha, page 24.
Nekadesh Shimcha ba'olam, Kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmim arom, kakatuv hayad nevi'echa, v'kara zel zeh ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech kol haaretz, Kevodo. Adir Adirenu Adonai Adonenu Madir Shimcha b'chol haaretz Baruch kevod Adonai Mimkomo Echad hu Eloheinu Hu Avinu hu Malkeinu Hu Moshienu v'hu Yashmienu V'rachamav l'nei kol chai Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, Ledor vador. Hallelujah. Sing after me. Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador. Ledor vador. Nagid galacha.
Ledor vador. Now you.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador. Ledor vador. Nagid galacha.
Ulenitzach netzakim, Kedushatecha nakish, Kedushatecha nakish. V'shivcha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush le'olam ba'ed. Here comes your part. Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador. Ledor vador. Nagid galacha.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador nagid galacha. Ki hamelech gadol, gadol v'kadosh, gadol v'kadosh ata. Ki hamelech gadol, gadol v'kadosh, gadol v'kadosh ata. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
And we can be seated. Avery, will you lead us on page 25?
From of old, the Jewish people have seen Shabbat as a unique gift, a token of its covenant with God.
Shabbat is the most cherished creation of the Jewish spirit. It mirrors the essence of the Jewish soul.
Shabbat has never been merely a day of rest from labor. It has always been a break in the routine of everyday life.
Shabbat is a symbol of liberation and triumph, of the holy over the profane, of spirit over matter.
In every age, Shabbat afforded the Jew a sacred retreat, a haven of safety, a fountain of new strength and perpetual renewal.
Shabbat nurtures family life and love and harmony. A home at peace welcomes Shabbat with joy.
Shabbat is a part of nature's design, the very purpose of creation. All that was created attained its fulfillment in Shabbat.
Shabbat is our hope, the calm haven where all the weary find rest. With the coming of Shabbat, redemption and peace enter the world. Friends, we're going to ask anybody who would like to type into that Facebook feed, what is joyful for you about Shabbat? What's something joyful this week that you're joyful about? And for the bar and bat mitzvah kids who are here to get credit, this is where you type in your name. Let us know what is joyful for you on this Shabbat. Yismachu, page 26.
Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Shomrei Shabbat. We sing again.
Yismechu memalchutecha,
Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Shomrei Shabbat. Two more times. Yismechu memalchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Shomrei Shabbat.
Yismechu memalchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Shomrei
Shabbat.
We're going to invite Lisa and Andrew Scott to lead us in our reading on page 27, our responsive reading.
Our God, we know there is no greater gift than peace. Help us to find the peace that comes from the love of your Torah.
But miracles are all around us and within us. We are each walking miracles.
When we are bruised, what miracle heals us? When we see beauty, what miracle elevates us? When we hear music, what miracle moves us?
When we see suffering, what miracle saddens us? When we give and receive love, what miracle warms us? When we pray, what miracle renews us?
Every springtime is a miracle. Every snowflake is a miracle. The thoughts we think, the words we speak, the hopes we cherish, each is a miracle.
For all these miracles, may your name be exalted and blessed forever and ever. And then for our reading on page 28, via Zoom, we're going to ask Talia, Baden, and London Scott to lead us in our responsive reading.
God, we know there is no greater gift than peace. Help us to find the peace that comes from the love of your Torah.
Inspire us to banish hatred, war, bloodshed, and bigotry. Help us to establish forever one human family, doing your will in love and peace.
Help us find peace in ourselves and among all people. O God of peace, bless us with peace.
You have given us the power, O God, to bring peace and justice into the world. May we always love peace and pursue it, and love our fellow creatures. Fill us with kindness, wisdom, and love. Then shall we learn to live in peace. Blessed is God, teacher of peace. Page 28.
Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova u'beraka. Yan lai 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 yan lai lai.
I'd like to take a moment and invite everybody for a period of silent prayer, communion, conversation. A couple moments for you to connect to the divine in any way that you can.
Page 30, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Eternal One, my rock and my Redeemer.
David and Carolyn, the parent blessing that you'll lead us on page 31 are different jewels lifted from the Talmud. These are the words that our sages have felt themselves at times like this, and they are so apropos for these sacred moments that you share with your son today.
May you live to see the world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come. And may you trust in generations past and yet to be. May your heart be filled with intuition and your words be filled with insight. May songs of praise ever be upon your tongue and your vision be on a straight path before you. May your eyes shine with the light of holy words and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom and your fulfillment be in righteousness. A Jewish home opens its heart and its link to the generations is proclaimed. Today, our child, nearly grown, is called to read from the Torah and is welcomed into the congregation. May this moment be blessed.
Hug, hug, kiss, kiss. All right, friends, we're going to rise for our Torah service, which you'll find on page 32.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, udvar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato. So Avery and Mom and Dad and Ben, this is that moment, this incredible moment when Avery, you get to receive the Torah. Well, we've talked a little bit about the Torah, right? We've kind of talked about the different pieces that make up the Torah. We've talked about the Torah as this tree of life, this ever-living document. And we've talked about the Torah as this kind of a torch that gets passed down from way back to our biblical ancestors forward and forward and forward and forward. And if you can imagine all of your ancestors filling up this room, smiling down at you, imagine your grandparents, Joel Slipikoff, Arlene Steinfeld, who are just beaming down in spirit. And of course, we have Grandma and Grandpa present, sharing that amazing energy as well, Gail and Clyde. So at this time, Mom is going to go ahead and pick up the Torah. And Avery, once it gets to you, you are really literally saying, hey, everybody, I'm ready. I am ready to take on the mantle of Torah. I'm ready to help bring Judaism to my community and to my future generations. So Dad's going to give it a little kiss and touch first. And then Mom is going to hand it to you. Take your time. It's heavy, literally and figuratively. And we'll make sure you have it. I see a nod. Beautiful. Okay, so we are going to continue on page 33 at the top with 3 very short blessings. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Uneromim Shemo Yachtav. And now the Bar Mitzvah family can undress the Torah. So Torah goes back to Mom. Lecha Adonai HaGedula, VeHaGevura, VeHaTiferet, VeHaNetzach, VeHaHod. Ki Kol Bashamayim Uvaretz, the cover, Bashamayim Uvaretz, Lecha Adonai HaMelacha, VeHaMitnaseh, Lechol Rosh, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Left side. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu.
As you get yourself situated, friends, Avery is going to be chanting Parshat Ki Tisa from the book of Exodus, and that's chapters 31, verses 12 through 32:6. Ki Tisa is a vital piece of the story, our story, the story of a people that was brought out of Egypt to leave behind a certain set of values, ones of avarice, right as might, and greed, and create a new civilization, a new mindset based on kindness, compassion, the value of human life, no matter where it comes from, values that we continue to bring to ourselves and as a light unto the nations, an or l'goyim. For those who have forgotten what Avery is about to do, chant in the original from the scroll. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of time and concentration and discipline and study. And no matter how many times you've seen this done, make no mistake, this takes a lot of work. So Avery, are you ready? Okay, Cantor, back to you.
All right, everybody may be seated. I actually remembered that time.
You did a good job.
And we call to we call up for our first Aliyah, Gail and Clyde Raka. Ya'andu Galil ben Aharon, Chaim ben Herschel, La'aliyah la Torah.
Blessings are on page 34.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher B'Habanu Mikol Hamamim. V'Natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Yasher Koach, stay right there, and Avery, take it away.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor ve'ata daber el bnei Yisrael lemor ach et Shabbatotai tishmoru ki oti beni u'nechem ledorotechem ladat ki Ani Adonai mekadishchem ushemartem et hashabbat ki kodeshi lachem mechalelecha mot yumat ki kol haoseva melacha v'nichoreta hanefesh hahi mikerev amecha.
Yasher Koach, Grandma and Grandpa, you are up for the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Ha'olam Asher natan lanu Torot emet v'hayalam natan b'chatochenu Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Beautiful air hugs and kisses and air high fives. I love it. And you may have a seat, and we call up for our second Aliyah, Adam and Jennifer Slifikoff. Ya'amdu, Adam ben Yaakov, Yardina bat Sarah, La Aliyah la Torah.
Hey, shout out to family. Hi, Danny. Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim. V'natan l'tam v'torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Sheshet Yamim Yaseh Melacha Uvayom Hashavi Shabbaton Kodesh LaAdonai Kol Haoseh Melacha Bayom HaShabbat Mod Yumat V'shameru Bnei Yisrael Et HaShabbat Lasot et hashabat, ladarotam berit olam, beni uvein bnei Yisrael, oti leolam, ki sheshet yamim, asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, uvayom hashavi'i, Shabbat vayinafash.
Yasher Koach. Adam and Jennifer, you are up.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher natan lanu Torat emet. V'hayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. All right, throw those air hugs and kisses. Beautiful. And now I get to call very proud Mom and Dad up to the bima. You can use that handheld mic and that big laminated sheet. Ya'amdu David ben Yaakov, Chaya bat Shmuel, La'aliyah la Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch
atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torto. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach. Avery.
Amen. Vayitain el Moshe kechaloto ledaber ito behar Sinai shnei luchot ha'edut luchot even ketuvim b'tzba'elohim vayar ha'am ki boshesh Moshe laredet min ha'har vayikahel ha'am al Aharon Vayomeru elakum aselanu Elohim asher yelecho lefanenu kizeh Moshe ha'ish asher helanu meretz Mitzrayim lidanu mehayalo Vayomer lehem Aharon Parku Nizmei Hazahav Asher B'nei Neshechem B'nechem Uvenotechem V'haviu Elah Vayiparku Kol Ha'am Et Nizmei Hazahav Asher B'oznehem Vayaviu Elah Aharon.
Yasher koach. Mom and Dad, you are up for our blessing following the Torah reading.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'shayim halam nata b'tocheinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful. All right, so this is the part where Avery, you just set that yod down. Mom and Dad will keep an eye on it, and you go have a seat. And now I get to tell you why you're having a seat, because this is the moment, Avery, that you've not only been working towards and studying towards for the past 6 months, but you have been moving towards this moment since you were born. So this is a pretty momentous time. And what is this moment? This moment is when you literally ascend into becoming a bar mitzvah. So the word aliyah means to ascend. And so in a moment, you're going to physically demonstrate that ascension, that moving upward. And you're also, as you demonstrate that for us physically, you yourself are also moving, I like to say, both upward and also deeper into a sense of your Judaism, your Jewish spirituality, your Jewish history, your Jewish culture. But as you are doing that, as you elevate and become deeper, more deeply connected to that sense of spirituality and religion and history and Judaism, you elevate us as well. You elevate everybody who is watching you on Facebook Live, on Zoom, all over the world. So it is my pleasure now to call you forward as an official bar mitzvah as you make your way up to the Torah. Yamad habachur habar mitzvah Aharon ben David v'chaya la'aliyah Torah. And you're going to go ahead and make the blessing before the Torah reading. Mom and Dad are going to hold up that blessing for you.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayikach mi'adam v'tzaroto b'acheret v'asehu egel masecha v'yomeru eile Elohecha Yisrael asher lucha me'eretz Mitzrayim vayar Aharon vayiven mizbeach lefanav vayikra Aharon Vayomar Chaglonai Machar Vayashkimu Mimahorat Valu Olot Vagishu Shalamim Vayeshev Ha'am Lecho Vashato Vayakumu Leitzachei.
Yasher Koach, and then you make the blessing after the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natan betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to ask Mom and Dad to flank you with a hand on your shoulders, Avery. I'm going to ask everybody to rise and stand up, please. And in front of the open Torah, Avery, we're going to give you a special Misha Barak blessing for your spiritual development, with the hope that these moments and today is a cornerstone spiritual experience for you, Avery, for you to look back upon fondly, but also to push off of, going wherever it is that you are able to go with your own spiritual development, knowing that you're standing here today surrounded, upheld, and knowing that your future is open to you. Do it in Hebrew and English. Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imatenu, Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, Hu Yivarech et Aharon ben David v'Chaya, Shehagia l'mitzvot le'ala l'Torah. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Yismarehu v'Chayehu v'chonen et libo, Liot Shalem im Adonai Elohav. Lagot b'Torah to lelechet bidrachav v'b'litzmor mitzvotav v'yimsechem v'seichel tov v'enei Elohim v'adam v'nomar. Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Avery, who's come up for an aliyah on the age of mitzvot. May the Holy One guard you and sustain you, helping you to be wholehearted in your faith, studying God's Torah, walking in God's ways, and fulfilling God's mitzvot. May you, Avery, find favor before God and all people. And we say, Amen. Okay, so at this point, Mom and Dad, you can roll the Torah up and then slide it to the side and put the whip on, yep. And then we're going to get the Torah cover to place over it. Carolyn, you can just slide that right under. There you go. Okay, and everybody can be seated. All right, so Avery, you're going to, thank you, Avery. You're going to get out your Devar Torah. So Avery, you have led us beautifully in our prayers, our service. You've chanted beautifully from the Torah. And now you're going to give what's called the Devar Torah, which is really a sermon. You're going to explain the Torah verses that you chanted from your parsha in the context of the grand Jewish story, and also in context of who you are, Avery, as a person, bring into today and now in the most poignant of ways. So whenever you're ready.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My Torah portion is Kitzisah from the book of Exodus. My Torah portion takes place after the events of escaping from Egypt, and Moses is now up on Mount Sinai talking with God while the Jews are on their way to the Promised Land. In the beginning of my Torah portion, Moses takes a census of the Israelites. God then tells Moses to prepare for the ordination of the priests by constructing a water basin, preparing anointing oil, and assigning Bezalel and Oholiab to craft objects for the priests. After that, God gives Moses 2 tablets with instructions for the Israelites. He instructs the Israelites to keep Shabbat and not do work on that day.
Slow down a little bit.
While Moses is up on the mountain talking with God to get the 10 Commandments, the Israelites become impatient and ask Aaron to build a golden calf for them to worship. When Moses sees the idol, he shatters the tablets out of anger. God punishes the Israelites with a plague for worshiping something that isn't him. Moses then goes back up the mountain for the new 10 Commandments. When Moses comes back down from talking with God, the Israelites see he has a radiant face. Because of Moses breaking the first tablets out of anger, he had to go back up to God to get the new 10 Commandments, and that whole process benefited no one. As my mom has told me many times before, anger only wastes energy. Today, anger comes to play a lot in everyday life, more importantly, controlling it. Whether it be getting mad at a friend or storming the Capitol, we must all control our anger. While controlling our anger is definitely more easily said than done, even Moses is able to keep calm. After seeing that the Israelites were building idols to worship instead of God, God tells Moses he will destroy the Israelites and replace them. Moses steps in, however. After all the backlash he received from the Israelites, he still refused to let God destroy them. Eventually, though, he did give in to the anger. After seeing the idol with his own 2 eyes, he becomes furious and smashes the tablets. This isn't the only thing that transpires after this event, however. One event not talked about much is the Civil War. After Moses sees the idol, the Israelites break into war, with Moses and the Levites against the Jews who worship the idol. The reason this isn't talked about as much is because of how embarrassing it is. 3,000 Jews died from this war, and rabbis say this is the absolute low point of Jewish history. They also say that this war is the reason we didn't get to the Promised Land for another 40 years. This is so embarrassing because after the Jews have gone through so much, they almost make it all worthless by killing each other out of anger. We hear time and time again to love thy neighbor as thyself, but this is an example of the exact opposite. So many Jews died purely out of anger, and this is not how it should be. This event shows the dangers of anger even more. It could lead to deaths of even people you cherish most. It can lead to danger, so we must contain it before it gets out of hand. Not all anger is negative, however. Anger can be for a good cause, such as the Civil Rights Movement or BLM. Earlier last year, as I'm sure everybody knows, BLM began after the death of George Floyd. After a sign of police brutality was released to the public, many became furious. They marched through the streets and protested for months. This was for a good cause, of course, but the impact was devastating. Many stores were left with broken windows, many people got injured, and many were arrested. I would say this could be classified as positive anger. It was only to spread a message of injustice, but its effects were still negative. Even if it is positive anger, it still is anger and can still lead to devastation, such as BLM. So no matter what anger it is, all we get from it is still bad and the impact still hurt. It is also important to know that Bezalel, the person assigned to craft complex objects for such important people, was not only an artist, but also 13 years old, the same age as me. This may seem surprising as he was assigned this complex task by Moses for the priests. However, these are the perfect qualifications. For one, he is an artist. Artists are known for being creative. They know how to interpret everything in a creative, touching way, and also add good detail to a piece. This is important for a crafter, as they need to also be creative and diligent in their work. The other thing is much more surprising. Why would a 13-year-old boy be assigned for such a special task? Well, as it turns out, this age is just perfect. They're young enough to have creativity and to always be very active in their mind, but also old enough to undertake such responsibility. They have the presence of mind to be smart with the task and know what to do. These 2 reasons are exactly why 13 is normally the age that boys have bar mitzvahs. They are young enough to interpret the Torah portion in a fun and creative way, but also old enough to understand it and give a speech on it, as I am doing now. Bezalel shows the perfect age of kids for their bar mitzvahs. He's not too young, but also not too old. Now that I'm having my bar mitzvah, though, I'm now an adult in the Jewish community. To me, this means now I have much more responsibility. I will now have to do more chores in the house and begin doing what my parents do. I will now have to take responsibility for things I've done wrong and be more mature. I plan on being more respectful and helping when I can. I want to thrive to be a good person whenever possible. As an adult in my Jewish community, I will hang a mezuzah on my door and be open about my religion to others and be proud of it. I think it is important to show your religion and be a good role model of it. I will also continue to celebrate Jewish holidays and always be respectful during those days, as it is one of the easiest ways I celebrate Judaism. When I grow up, I'll give my children a Jewish education and teach them about Judaism. I want them to have a happy Jewish life and cherish their connection with Judaism. One way to cherish one's connection with Judaism is visiting the sick, which in Judaism is called Bichor Cholim. This is a very important Jewish value to me. It means to visit and take care of those who can't take care of themselves. I think it's very important to show that you care for people, and then it shows you are there to help them when they need it. I've demonstrated this by visiting my grandma in the past. For a lot of my life, she was in a wheelchair, and life was harder for her. To show that I was there for her, though, my family and I would go to her house every summer and visit for around a week. I never really saw it as visiting the sick, but now I realize going there wasn't just to say hello to a family member, but it was also to make her feel good. We would bake with her, play board games with her, and every dinner we would all gather around and chat. It took me a while after her death early last year to realize how much we were actually helping her through a constant struggle. I wish it wasn't so naive, but now that I'm becoming a Jewish adult, I will always try my best to help those in need. I will help the sick in order to show that there's people who care for them. While it is important to always help the sick, we must also strive to help our home, the state of Israel. I've always seen Israel as a place of peace. It's always seemed like a safe haven for Jews. It's always felt like another home. This is why it's so important to me. I demonstrate this importance by learning about Israel at school. We learn about the history, people, and most importantly, the strive for peace. I will show my appreciation for Israel in the future by going there and seeing for myself all the wonderful places and monuments of history. Israel seems such a nice place, and I want to be like it, always wanting peace. One way I can show both peace and kindness and visiting the sick is helping out children's hospitals, specifically CHOA. Probably one of the biggest parts of my life has been being hospitalized at CHOA, or the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, for over 2 weeks because of a collapsed lung. My experience was awful and completely miserable at first, but it progressively got better and better until I was finally released. I want other kids there to know that it gets better too. For my mitzvah project, my family and I have helped CHOA by asking our participants to kindly donate some money there. Every penny counts when it comes to hospitals in order to make children's stays there much better. I'm taking from my Torah portion by caring about others rather than just myself. I'm trying to do what Moses did when he was told by God that God would destroy all the Israelites, but Moses stepped in to stop him because he cared for the Israelites. I think it's very important to be like Moses in this scenario by helping others and not just caring for yourself. In order to do this, I would like to show my care for everyone who helped me get here. First, my mom. You always are looking on the bright side. Whenever I go to you for a problem or if I'm in distress, you always know how to calm me down and be positive. If I ever come back from school feeling sad or angry, I know I can count on you to cheer me up. Thank you for always believing me when I don't believe in myself. Second, my dad. You always have a joke to say that always makes me chuckle. You're an excellent role model of a dad I would want to be. You are super caring and always ready to go the extra mile to help my brother and I, no matter how annoying we are. I love the deep talks we have, and you always teach me something new about the world I didn't know. You're an amazing dad, and I love you. Now, my brother, Ben. I knew I'd have to do this eventually. While we're not always on the same page, I know deep down inside, we both love each other with all our hearts. I always love listening to your stories and opinions, even when I don't show it. The last thing I want to see in this world is you with a frown. Whenever you're down, I'm down. I love sharing stories with you and teaching you new things, even though I know you don't care about half the things I teach you. Thank you for being more than a brother, but also a friend. Thank you to my grandparents for always being so supportive and loving. And also thanks to all my other family. Though I'm not able to see you all very much, I always love all the jokes and games we play together. And finally, thank you to Rabbi Max, Rabbi Rachel, Rabbi Spike, and Cantor for helping me on this journey and always supporting me. Thanks, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Beautiful. Avery, beautiful words. David and Carolyn, we're feeling like we're pretty adult at this moment, right? With up there and these gorgeous words that your son just shared. Friends, let's pray Eitz Chaim on page 39.
Eitz Chaim he lama chazikim ba v'tomecha meushar derachecha tarchenu am v'chol tivotah shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chodesh Chodesh Yomeinu Chodesh Yomeinu kekedem.
So Avery, Cantor and I have said this before, but it's worth repeating. Of all the things that we get to do as clergy here at Temple Emanu-El, including ruckus Friday night services and high holidays and weddings, what we've been doing with you the last couple months is absolutely our most favorite thing, which is getting to know you at a deep level, having those deep conversations, as well as learning what's called Torah Lishma, study for the sake of higher thought and thinking. Now, Avery, although I briefly met your mom and dad before you were in the hospital, the real first time that we spent time together, you had your eyes closed, and that was while you were in the hospital bed. And I remember coming in and praying with your mom and dad a couple times, hard, like with everything we had, praying. And your grandparents were around, and there's others who came in. And I remember asking God to please make everything okay. And not to dwell on that, but today, my friend, everything is okay. Meaning you are here, you are well, you are thriving, you are kind, you are smart, you're fun to be around, you're deep, and you are loved. And to have these 2 points for you and I is the sort of the bookmarks of our journey together. That was the start. Today is another bookmark. We're going to have other ones, Avery. We're going to have other really good ones together. But boy, is this a meaningful day for your family and for your friends and your community, and I'll say it for me, because of how we started and where we are. You spoke beautifully, you laned beautifully, you led beautifully, you're a great kid, now a great young man. I get to call you a young man because this is your bar mitzvah. And I have really enjoyed our time together and the depth of conversation that you are able to have. You are deep, and not just for a 13-year-old, for anybody. Depth is something either you have or you don't. We can't teach it to you, and you have it. So my hope is that you take your experiences, including that one, and you hang on to them as long as they are useful for you as you go forward into these future days, leading us to wherever you're going to take us. Cantor.
Avery, so I am so proud of you. You did so incredibly today, but I knew that you would. And I want to tell you that it has been a real privilege and a joy to be working with you over these past 6 months, to finally get to see you in person and your whole family in person. And I've seen you and your dad and your mom online on our Zoom sessions. Avery, as we've studied Torah together and our liturgy together, I've noticed that you have just a wonderful sweetness about you and a seriousness about you as well. And you also have such an important quality for a young man. You know how to listen. You really take in what others say around you, their guidance, and then you put it into practice. That's not always something that 13-year-olds can do. And for example, I'm going to start with our first interaction today when you were feeling a little bit nervous, right, about this whole thing. And we did some breathing together, and you really took that. And it was amazing to watch how you breathed in and breathed out and let your whole body relax. And it was really something special to watch that little thing and to see just how you take in the world around you. So I wish for you, I bless you with that sense, may that sense of listening always carry you forward, that sense of both seriousness and sensitivity, that you extend that caring soul to everyone around you,
and that you bring a sense of seriousness to everything that you do. Mazel tov.
In a moment, the cantor and I are going to impart to you the priestly benediction, the blessing that our rabbis and cantors have been giving to youth since the beginning of time. So I'd ask everybody to please rise. Mom and Dad, a hand on his shoulders. Okay.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's face turn toward you, Avery, and grant you the greatest gift of all, what you have at this moment. Feet on the ground, surrounded by family and friends and community, the Torah's to your back, your whole life ahead of you, a sense of wholeness, completeness, and peace. And we say, Amen. Okay, everybody can be seated. Now we would invite your mom and dad to share some words about you.
Avery, I'm just so proud of you. No idea. I know you worked so hard on preparing for this very moment. I know you didn't always love having to practice or go to tutoring, since it really cut into your playing Minecraft time. But you were mature about it and understood the importance of preparing for this day. You've been through a lot in your short 13 years of existence. Just 14 months ago, when you were in the hospital and had to spend day after day being poked and prodded with needles, forced to wake up every couple hours, having to take terrible, terrible tasting medicines, and then spending a week in rehab. You could have easily felt sorry for yourself and complained about your situation, but instead you showed incredible courage and determination to get healthy and back to your normal self. And somehow, throughout it all, you never lost your sense of humor. Avery, I pray and hope you never lose the kindness, thoughtfulness, courage, humor as the boy I've known for the past 13 years. We lost Avery's grandmother, Carolyn's mom, a year ago. I know she would have loved to have been here to witness this day. She was just always so proud of you. I know for sure if my dad were still alive, nothing would have made him more proud. No, I got such a great, wonderful son who's getting bar mitzvah on this day. I have no doubt you'll be successful in whatever you want to do with your life. As a parent, the only thing I could hope for is that you lead a happy and healthy life. I love you so much.
Oh, Avery Jake, where did my baby boy go? I look at you now and wonder how I created such an extraordinary human being. From the minute you were born with a full head of hair, I knew you were special. Through the years, your laid-back disposition, your curiosity, your brilliance continue to soar to new heights. From your dry sense of humor to your unbelievable intellect, you have grown into a wonderfully witty, sensitive, kind-hearted, persevering young man who always strives for perfection, sometimes a little too much. Just a little over a year ago, you tackled your biggest challenge in life. It's hard to believe it's been over a year since our extended stay at Children's Healthcare. We didn't know if you were going to see your next birthday, much less your bar mitzvah. Yet, like every challenge in life that you face, You defied the odds of survival. Although we didn't think it was possible, you made a full recovery as you became even stronger and more determined than ever to succeed in the biggest fight of your life, for your life. You amazed not only your family and friends, but also the doctors and nurses with your incredible recovery. You are not going to let anything take you down. And here we are today. As I've watched you prepare for this special day, I am amazed at your dedication to your studies and your mastery of the Jewish traditions and all that it encompasses. The events of this year did not make it easy. It has been exactly 1 year since we lost my mom, your wonderful Grammy. She loved you with all her heart. I wish she were still here with us, as I know she would be your #1 cheerleader as you become a bar mitzvah. But I know she is looking down on you with enormous amounts of love, pride, and joy. Despite a year full of recovery, quarantining, grieving, and uncertainty, you have managed to thrive. To say I am proud of you is the biggest understatement ever. I am awed by your dedication and resilience and can't wait to see what you accomplish next. I love you more than you will ever know. Congratulations to you, Avery Jake. I love you to the moon and back.
I'm sorry.
Beautiful. Okay. So, Avery and Ben, would you turn around and we're going to ask everyone to rise for Elenu on page 40. Will you guys go open the ark? And Mom and Dad's going to be right behind you for Elenu on page 40. Go ahead and slide it open. There you go.
Pull it towards you. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atid gidula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamunam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, v'ipnei melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shema,
And gently close the ark doors, please. There you go. And everybody can be seated. Well, family, come right back to the Amud. So friends, in a moment, we're going to recite the Mourner's Kaddish, which you'll find on page 41. Avery Cantor alluded to the generations, the Jewish generations that are here as you are leading us this day. And we believe that those who have loved you and your family and have passed are here and they're smiling because of what you're doing. Your family today especially remembers Joel Slipikoff and Arlene Steinfeld. If there are those either in the sanctuary or who are joining us online in the Shloshim period of mourning, the first 30 days after a loved one's passing, we ask you to rise now. If you're in the first year of mourning a loved one's passing, we ask you to rise now. If you are commemorating the yahrzeit, the death anniversary of a loved one's passing, we ask you to rise now. And if it is your custom to rise in solidarity, or for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, we ask that you do so now. Please rise. Page 41, Mourner's Kaddish. Yidgadal, Yidgadash, Shmei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach irute v'amlich machute. B'chayechon, Yomechon, uv'chaye decho Beit Yisrael. B'galav Yisman Kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh. Vitadar vitala vitala shmei dukucha richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlam araba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imru mav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael me'yimeru amen. Clap your hands. Here we go. Oseh shalom b'imromav uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael me'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael me'yimeru amen.
As we celebrate those who are with us and physically and in spirit, we transition into our Havdalah, our separation. So family, will you shuffle to your left? Havdalah is, of course, the ceremony which we end Shabbat with. We start Shabbat by lighting 2 candles. We end Shabbat by lighting the Havdalah candle, but you'll notice, Avery, that the Havdalah candle is actually made up of 5 or 6 wicks. So more than a candle, it's a torch. If you'll light that candle now, that torch, showing, of course, just like a family, just like the Jewish people, we are that much more potent and together when we combine our individual strengths, talents, and passions. Friends, Havdalah.
We lift up the wine cup. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri.
We raise the Kiddush cup. There we go.
Borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. Lift the spices. Haolam. We lift up our spices. Borei minei v'samim.
Go ahead, Ben. Give it a sniff.
Borei minei v'samim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Take a moment, lift up that flame. Borei me'orei ha'esh. Borei me'orei ha'esh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamavdil ben kodesh v'chol. Hamavdil ben kodesh v'chol. We extinguish the flame in the wine. Listen for the sizzle. Hamavdu ben kodesh lechol, chatotenu hu yimchol, zarenu v'chaspenu yorbechachol, v'chakochavim alayla. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishvi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi.
Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov. Elanu, 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 ubechol Yisrael. Elanu, Elanu, ubechol Yisrael. Elanu, Elanu, ubechol Yisrael. Elanu, Elanu, ubechol Yisrael. What's up, everybody?